Hi there! Today I'm going to show you how to edit your photos using Lightroom and Photoshop. Now, first you're going to open up Lightroom. And I'm not a photography enthusiast, so if you're in the same boat as me that you aren't in love with photography but you'd like to take good photos, then this video is perfect for you. So, quick note, you can get the Adobe photography package, and that's just Lightroom and Photoshop. That's $10 a month. It's super worth it if you want to make beautiful images. You can see that this photo is one that I worked on last time I was in Lightroom, but now I'm going to work on different photos, so I'll want to go to File, Import Photos and Video. So now Lightroom is asking me, where are your photos coming from? And my photos this time are coming from a chip which I have creatively named No Name. And you can see the photos from the last TPK blog post right here. But I'm not editing those today. Today I'm going to edit these 6 at the bottom. Since I only want to edit these 6 photos, I'm going to click Uncheck All, and then I'm going to select these photos and click Import. So now Lightroom is importing the photos so I can work with them. And you can see, I'm going to double click on this photo and it shows up here. It's upside down. So I'm going to use the keyboard command, command plus the right bracket, and that rotates the photo. So what Lightroom is really good for is if you take several photos at once, which you should do for comparison, it will allow you to quickly compare your photos and decide which photos you like the best and which ones you would like to use for your blog or your store or wherever you're going to display your photos. So first I like to put all of my photos in the proper orientation, and then I'm going to compare them and see what looks the best. So I've got this photo, that looks good. This photo looks like I need to rotate it a little bit, but it also looks a little bit clearer than the first photo. So what I'm going to do is go back to my first photo and hit delete. And yeah, I'm okay with deleting it from the disk. And then we'll look at the next photo. This photo is definitely better. So I'm going to delete the next photo. And then usually when I'm in Lightroom, I go ahead and correct the rotation in Lightroom. So I'll just click on Develop here. And then it's going to give me the option to develop a lot of things. Now you can develop photos in Lightroom. Lightroom is a super powerful program, and there are so many tutorials available for free online over how to use it to develop photos. But I actually prefer to develop these types of photos of paper goods in Photoshop. But I'm going to use Lightroom to rotate this because I really like the little grid that pops up. And there we go. Now it's straight. And I'll just go ahead and crop it in Photoshop. So now I'm moving on to this other photo. You may have noticed that I have this white piece of paper right here, and that will become apparent as to why here in a couple of minutes. So let's see which one I like better here. You can see that I experimented with a whole bunch of different props. And I think that after comparing these, I'll probably go with the leaves here because I just like that look better. So I'm going to delete these 2. And usually when I'm using Lightroom, I have, about 100 photos that are going to end up in a blog post that has 15 to 20 photos. So it's usually a lot more useful than what I'm showing you here, which is just looking at 6 photos. So now that I've got my 2 photos here that I'm going to edit, I want to select both of them. So you can hold down the Shift key and then click on the thumbnails down here and go to File, Export. And I have this subfolder here. Actually, it's February now, so I'll make a February 2017 subfolder. If you're doing photography like this, just as a side note, you should probably put it in an external hard drive because photography will fill up your computer's hard disk really, really quickly. And then it's going to ask me what I want to name these. I'll name them Lindsay Photos February 1st. Okay, so now it's exporting. You can see the progress up here in the left, and with 2 files it really shouldn't take that long. I don't know why it's taking a while. So now the files are exported and we can just quit Lightroom. So once you've finished working in Lightroom, what you're going to do is open up Photoshop here, and it's going to load like so. And then you'll want to go to File, Open, and you can see I've got my February 2017 folder right there and both of the photos that I'd like to edit. Okay, so there's my second photo, so we'll go ahead and edit that first. At this point, you're going to see why I added this white piece of paper. So the secret, or my secret, for editing photos in Photoshop is I always go to this curves layer here in the adjustments portion, and then I click on this white dropper right here. And basically what this thing does is you're telling Photoshop, okay, I'm going to click on something that should be pure white in the photo, and I want you to adjust everything else in the photo to accommodate that pure white. So I'm going to click on this white piece of paper, and you can see that immediately the photo becomes a lot more light. And you can click on other places in the paper to see if anything changes, but for the most part, it's staying, the photo is going to look like this. And you can see I'll take off this layer. You can see the difference. It looks a lot better once you've used this eyedropper. So at this point, you can use the crop tool by just pressing C on your keyboard, and that will pull up the crop tool. And then you can crop out the white piece of paper and just make a photo that you're happy with. And then if you're dead set on this photo being this size, but we've got a little bit of the white here in the corner, what you can do is zoom in by hitting Command + on your keyboard. Scroll over to that place in the photo. And then you can use this clone stamp tool over here on the left. Make sure your background layer is selected. We'll make this bigger. It's just like painting. You hold down Control, or Alt, sorry, until you get that target, and then you can just paint right over the white, which is really cool. So then if, let's say that I'm going to put this photo on my blog, what I'm going to do is I always make the image smaller because right now the image is huge. Like 4,771 pixels will take forever to load if you're going to upload it to the internet. So I always make my photos 1440 pixels wide and hit OK. Now it's much smaller, but it's still high enough resolution that it will look good on really large computer screens. Then I go to File, Export, Save for Web, because that compresses the image. And I have these settings over here if you want to match your settings to this. And then I'm just going to go save, and yeah, that's fine. So that's how I do that. And then I don't save the original photo because we already saved this for web, so the web version is saved and there's really no need to save another version of the edited photo. So now we've got the other photo that I took here. The first thing that I'm going to do is crop it. So again, to crop, hit C on your keyboard, and then you can just pull in the edges here. And it looks like we've got a little bit of white here at the bottom. And if you want to be more exact with your cropping, you can zoom in. And we'll crop crop a little at the top too. Alright, so that looks good. And then we're going to use the same trick. You just go to curves, choose this white eyedropper, and then we'll just click around in the middle there. That looks good. The only thing that I would say about this photo is I think that probably this text should be a little bit darker. So in order to make the text darker, what I'm going to do is click on my background layer, and I'm going to use this burn tool over on the left. And I can use this tool, here I'm going to make the brush larger, with shadows here. And as I go over the lettering, you can see it gets darker, but that might be too dark. So I'm going to undo that, put the exposure down to 13%. And there, that looks better. So now people can see the text a little bit better, and you can go and maybe darken up the elements in the illustration as well. And then actually, that looks good. That looks done. There's nothing that I need to cover up. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Image size, 1440. And then File, Export, Save for Web. And that's it. That's exactly how I edit photos. If you have any questions, of course, you can comment on this blog post. And I hope you learned something.